Wayne, allow. Okay, let's go to share screen. Wow. All right. All right, guys. So I've been meaning to make a video for everybody. So I'm doing a little bit of night trading on my funded account. I'm trading MNQ, and so basically, um, I want to go over kind of how I trade, how I manage my trade, what I'm looking for, and that sort of thing. So, okay, let's review here. So, one, we're breaking below our previous day middle VWAP band, okay, or not middle, lowest VWAP band. Because of this, okay, as long as we stay underneath this area here and ultimately underneath our purple VWAP band, okay, we will continue down lower into the next zone. So next zone is going to be most likely into here. Oh, whoops. Okay, most likely into here. Okay, and then if we don't hold here, down into here. Okay, so we could slowly start to bleed. And what I'm seeing here is everything's pointing down. These lines are pointed at a steep angle. We're on our 5 minute here. And so as long as price stays under this sloping resistance level right there, okay, as long as price stays under there like so, then we will continue to come down, okay, and I can ride this all the way down into here. Now if we pop up above this sloping resistance here, then it's possible that we grind up here to the 21, which is here, into this zone, and then to the 50. Okay, so basically what would happen is you'd have to breach here. Once you breach here, then you'd probably get into here, most likely into your 50, okay, up to your VWAP. So since it sells, that's what I don't want to happen. That's why I got my stops here, and I kind of just want to ride this trend down lower into these bottom zones here. And it's looking like potentially we can start to do that here the next couple of hours. We are in downtrend because one, we came down here the second time. Okay, first we came down here, we bounced, then we came down the second time, and now we've been rejecting on your purple VWAP band. So boom, rejection, and now we're in the official downtrend now. Okay, so all I'm doing right now on this funded account is just playing this downtrend here, okay, into our lower zones. And that's it. If the trade were to go against me, okay, I got my stops here. I'd get stopped out, and or I'd be moving these up into, the zones to where price is trying to get out at a break even or whatever. Okay, so this is pretty much the trade that I'm doing right now on this funded account. Things to look for when you're trading is you always want to, check your different time frames. And man, I know it looks confusing with all these freaking lines and everything here. Zoom in. It's always good to check your different time frames. So if you see these bodies of these 15-minute candles, okay, this is a good indicator to where if we do bounce up of these bodies, most likely you come to 50%. You don't want to go higher than 50% of these bodies, okay? Because then you can start to get to the top of them pretty quickly after you get past the 50% mark. Okay, so I don't want to do that. I do want to add to my position up here, maybe 25% of the way through these bodies, and then keep riding it down. However, if it does look like it's starting to turn on me, then obviously I want to try to get out like around here, whatever. Okay, I don't want to have it continue to go higher on me. Okie dokie. How would I know if it's going to start to go higher on me? Again, when you break past, this kind of sloping resistance area here. So that's how you know. Usually, you want to stay underneath the 50 EMA right here, this red one. Usually, a good rule of thumb is that you're just coming up, wicking up here, and shooting right back. Because the minute you start to break through the 50, then you have a higher probability of us breaking through sloping resistance, which is here, and getting into your negative one VWAP band. Okie doke, okie doke. So if we notice here, we made a lower low, we made uh, a lower low here, but now we did a double bottom right here. Okay, so this is an exact double bottom. Got a little bit of power. See, right now what I could do is I could deleverage, okay? Because it looks like it may want to come up here closer to the 50, and then I can add. Okay, so now I got one contract instead of multiple because um, practicing risk management. Okay, and potentially we can get into here and I can add more positions potentially. Okay, but since we are starting to engulf this green candle here, I could come back and do something like so and just start adding more to my position like that if it looks like we're about to dump. Okay, so that's kind of how you want to manage your trades. Um, take profit. You can take profit. I like to take profit around these bodies sometimes, come back up and add another one because price always likes to wiggle. Every once in a while you'll get that great flush. It looks like we may get that great flush here, maybe here. Okay. And good areas to get, take profit is right here around your blue line, a little above on it, a little below. If we get below this lower VWAP band blue line, then I know we can push really faster. So I can add contracts here and write it down 50 points, 100 points, whatever. Okay, so that's kind of, and then I look to the right too, because I know around the 90s, around the 90 areas, we can start to get a bounce. Okay, here's this little flush that we were wanting. So I can add right here at the bottom of these wicks. Okay, that's a good place to add. And then also on my 9 right here, and then we can let that push down like so. Okay, so I can take profit. Oh, that rubber band back up pretty quickly. And then, like I said, good areas to add in this situation are always going to be on your 9, your 21, your 50. Okay, so we did make a lower low. So this is what we want to pay attention to right now. Does price get back up in this range? So if we make this our range, okay, once price starts to get back up into this range, okay, it can easily come to about 50%, okay? So those are the things that you want to pay attention to. Okay, is it getting back up in this range? If it doesn't get back up in this range and we just go a quarter of the way through into this range, we're going to start to reject around the 9 and the 21 and then shoot right back down, which that's what we want. If we hold in this highlighted box right here, okay, this is the range. If we hold in this box, we can come all the way back up. We want to stay underneath this box to continue the down go. Okay, the downtrend. Um, we want to stay, underneath the 9, underneath the 21, and especially out of this box right here, out of this range. Okay, because we want to magnetize down here to this other range in previous trading sessions. Okay. Rule of thumb is we're breaking underneath our previous day VWAP band. Usually we like to do a nice bounce around 80 or 60 to 70, 80% of the way down to this band, which would probably be somewhere around here. Okay. So I may want to start taking profit like right around the 70s, which kind of lines up with where we've been bouncing lately. Okay. And that's it. You just take that trade, and then um, sometimes it could flush all the way down here pretty quickly. If that happens, then I miss the full move. But I know majority of the time this is where it likes to bounce and come back up. I can get another position, and then most likely take it down here, maybe. Okay, so this is the safer take profit zone. So always try to just take my profit and then reset up for another quick little scalp or whatever. Okay. And it's always good to check different time frames when you're trading. You can see different areas of EMAs for your 200 and your 50. Okay. Price loves to come up to the 50 EMA on the 1 minute, and reject right around there, and come down. I'm on the 3 minute. Let's do the 2 minute. If you look at the 2 minute, it's been perfect, almost, I think, more perfectly on the 3 minute. It's been perfectly rejecting on the 21 perfectly. So um, probably the best places to add into this trade is going to be somewhere around 21 on the 3 minute time frame. Okay. It's always good to check different time frames while you're trading, because you see different things. You see different zones, you see different candlesticks, you see different levels, you can the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is this M. I don't know if y'all guys remember me talking about it, but I said we could get up to 3,100. Remember 3,100? And I said it's going to be a huge sell. There's a lot of sell pressure around 3,100. I don't know if y'all guys remember me saying that, but look, and it made that M shape that I was talking about in the messages. If we made it up to the 3,100 area, which perfect M shape to continue downward. If this M shape completes, then I could see us down, into these zones here. This would be a nice bounce zone. Usually right around here, this 23.6% level is going to be a nice bounce zone. So I measure that from here to here. This is from here to here. The 23% right around here is going to be a solid bounce level. If we crack under here, okay? If we crack underneath this 50, have this green line, boom, it's on. It's going down. I can take this trade from here to here all day, okay? So zone to zone to zone to zone. So right now we're in these little baby zones. Okay, and I'm just trading, zone. Here's a zone right here, okay, that we're trying to hold support on at the current present time. And I'm trying to get down to this little zone, then into this little zone next, okay? So let's go to the 5 minute, and let's um, see where our actual trend line is. Okay. So I like to draw the trend lines on the 5 minute. So I had this point and then this point. So if you notice this right here, when we come down, got up, tried to hold, couldn't, this was the sell zone right here. When we rejected on this purple line, okay, this was the sell zone right here. Let me delete some of these lines a little much. We don't need all this here. We don't need all these extra lines here. I don't like this. Delete that, y'all. Okay, so this, okay, I don't need this line no more. Let me delete that. Sometimes you just need to delete some zones when better and newer, more recent zones are waking up in the situation here. So um, sometimes I am overloaded on zones, and that can definitely be a problem of mine. And I need to update my zones to the more recent zone. So we got this zone, and then this zone. We break under here. Okay, what I want to look for is to come down, come up, reject, and then fall down. Okay, so boom. Okay, got that. So this is a little bounce zone right here. We hit our zone. Okay, so what I want to do in this situation is try to re-add on the 9 EMA, and then you can try to re-add on the 21, and then you can re-add on the 50. Okay, and most likely, when you hit a zone, okay, most likely, price does like to come back up into here, and you can get filled on a new position. If not, price can just keep dropping. Once we drop under here, price can just keep dropping. Okay. Now, uh, what else? What else? What else? So I got my fibs. Okay. So this fib, I need to change now because this is at the top of our range. We just went a little lower. So let's go ahead and make this a little lower now to the low of the day, which is here. Okay. So it lines up perfectly, 50%, 60%. Now, when you look at these fibs here, always know, and the only way we're going to go higher is if we hold above 61.8%. You will never go higher in this situation unless you hold above here. So the highest you can go is right here before you start to come back down to still be bearish here to here. If you're super bearish, you only make it to 50. Lately, I've been seeing this come all the way up, attention pass over 61.8 and then come down. So keep that in mind. So let's test that theory. Okay, let's see what today did. So today we were here, here, and we went to there. Okay, when it was actually down here for the trading session. So let's move it to here. Okay, where did we come to? We came all the way up to 50%. We kind of went just under 61 and come down. Okay, so we just couldn't get past that, and we continued down. And I measure it from this bottom here. Okay, from this trading session, we bottomed out here. We topped out here. And if you look, when we flushed down to where 23.6%. This was the buy, 23.6, perfectly, a little bit above it. Sometimes on it, sometimes a little bit below it. But this is the buy zone, guys. That's what I need y'all guys to see. This is the buy zone. Always right around this area when you have your big extension moves, okay, and you draw your fib, you know this is what I'm looking at when I'm calling trades for you guys. When we get down to this zone, okay, this is a good buy zone. What do? We rode it where? Up to the 50% fib, boom, crashed down, held support, went a little bit higher than the 50, double topped at the VWAP, and then boom, started a new session, and then we continued this down draw into this evening session. Okay, um, into this evening session, we went as high as just under 61.8, and then we started to have our good rejections on our purple, um, positive 1 VWAP. And then once we couldn't, let's go to the 5 minute. You can see this better. You see this purple line, boom, boom, all these little points of support. So once we couldn't hold above this purple line right here, this trend line, and we reject here, this was the sell move right here. Boom. Right by VWAP, right on our trend. That's two different confirmations explaining why you should have gotten to a sell right here. Okay. Um, Now we did break under our previous day VWAP band. We got to our 60-70% area. This is the bounce zone right here. So I don't want to be getting into sales right here at this bounce zone at the bottom of this supply zone or demand zone or whatever it is. I don't know. Um, but anyway, so this is the bounce zone. I don't want to be getting into sells, even though I'm super bearish right now. And I think we can get, down here to 30,000, 240, 200, maybe even 180. Okay, tonight. Um, but I don't want to chase this down here. Okay, I don't want to chase it. So I do want eventually, like I said, when we're in a downtrend, guys, okay, no matter what, we will stay in this zone in a true downtrend. So price can come all the way up into here and we can still continue all the way down here. Okay, so we're at the very, obvious underneath the lower VWAP band here, so we can squeeze down faster, lower. But for me, it's just not worth it to try to chase this when I know that if I get into a sell here, we could easily get back up all the way up into here. Okay. So in this particular situation, the A1 sell place is going to be here. What this is the A minus, and this is the A1 on the 200. Okay, because in a sell scenario like this, we could come all the way up to the 200 before we reject and then come all the way back down. Usually in night sessions, we stay here, we stay in the purple, and then we just keep coming down. Okay, so that's pretty much, what's happening into this evening. Okay, just we broke under our previous day VWAP and we're coming lower here. So, that's it. That's what's happening. So you just want to be in sales. The only time you want to get out of this cell, okay, and look like it's about to do this, about to break. If you draw this right here, boom. Once we break above here, this little mini baby little trend line, then we can start to push up into these areas right here. Okay. So if you wanted to get a sell right here and then put a stop like right here, you could. That's fine, but I just rather wait and be patient for price to get up into here. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Then whatever. I don't get another trade. I don't care. Who cares? Okay. So that's it. That's basically what's happening tonight. And as this slope, I know I got so many lines on here, guys. I know it's so confusing sometimes. But as this slope gets more of a steeper degree angle down, so does your trend line need to be. Okay. You got to keep that in mind because the minute we break above this steep trend line, then it shoots up all the way up and into these zones, into this, and into this zone pretty quickly. So you always want to keep changing the slope of your trend line so where it could, because once it look like right now, like once it pops above here, boom, we shoot up into here pretty quickly. And then we get more sellers up into here, and then again, continue to push down, lower into this next zone. And most likely, okay, if we don't hold this zone right here, this final kind of zone, if we don't hold this zone, meaning when we come down here, if we come back up and we can't hold above here like this and keep going up, then most likely we're going to continue down lower into this area. And then we can start to map out. Let's go to our 3-minute. We can map out where those lines need to be. So here, 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 those are going to be your next zones. The most powerful one is going to be right here. Let's do this. This is going to be our VWAP. Let me change that to blue so I know it's the VWAP. Usually, most likely, we'll get into this VWAP zone right here because we go from VWAP to VWAP, previous day VWAP to VWAP. So if we don't hold here, I would assume we get down into this zone, VWAP zone, maybe here, maybe here. Could we hold here and go up? Yeah, we could, but I always assume that we're going to get closer to the VWAP. Okay. Now, if we do come here and we start to hold and make engulfing candles and higher highs and higher lows, then I know that this was the bottom. But I don't assume that until I start to see boom, a lot of support, a lot of range, and then higher highs, higher lows, and then in that engulfing candle breaking above your slope and resistance point. Okay, then I know it's on. Okay, we look here to the right, we're at 60. Okay, it came up here. We're rejecting pretty cleanly there. Okay, we didn't even get, past our little sloping resistance line. That's fine because it could still get up here. Okay, if not, if it doesn't get above this little line that we made here, okay, this little sloping resistance line, then obviously, excuse me, we're gonna fall into this zone next. Okay, so um, this right here, if y'all guys were to try to enter cells right here, that would just not be smart at all because yeah, could you get the flush down here? Yeah, you could, but this from here to here is not that much of a reward compared to coming all the way back up here. Like you could risk losing all this right here just to make this little bit. Uh-uh. For me, that's no trade, no trade, no trade, no trade, no trade. Okay, so that's basically, what's happening tonight. Most likely, I think we get down into this zone. Most likely. Okay, looks like we're getting a little push here now. So that could be where we can start to get our entry. Perfect. So now that we broke above this sloping resistance, it's coming down to hold support on our little baby zones. Okay. And, maybe we can get into a cell right here, into this zone, into these zones right here. And then we can continue to push lower. So, and that's it. And that's basically, what I'm looking at right there. And let's just say, for example, like this went all the way up here, okay? Like it went and hit like real fast. I'm moving these things up to break even quick if it moves really fast like that, just to try to get out of it because I wouldn't, with a forceful candle going upward, hitting all my contracts quickly. I'm trying to get out super fast because I know that it could continue. It has a high chance of continuing, into my 200. So I'd rather try to get out at break even real fast, maybe get a sell here and then another one here, and then try to ride it down. Okay, so those are things that y'all guys need to pay attention to when you're trading. That if something like that were to happen, move your trades up close to break even, try to get out because it ricocheted on you so quickly that it's best just to try to get out at break even, readjust, and look for the next trade. Okay, sometimes that happens, sometimes I got to do that, and voila. Okay, I was yapping, so if I wasn't yapping as much, I probably would have moved that down there and got that. Okay, because at least I see the rejection on the 21. Okay, but I was too busy yapping. Okay, so I'm not necessarily gonna do that. Um, However, if you see this right here, like this little hump and then this little hump, so now all the buyers know where the seller stops are. Okay, so what happens next, could happen next, is this could fly up into here pretty quickly because they know where the stops are. So the stops are here and the stops are here now. So what happens is If we do get past here, we'll fly up into here pretty quickly because they're going to use these stop losses, okay, to fuel the move to come up a little higher on this next go around. If that happens, it may not. We may just continue to flush down here, okay. But anyway, that's pretty much the situation here. So I think I'm done. I hope that answered some questions on how I, find my levels and what I'm looking for this type of trade for into this evening. All the lines are starting to slope downward. We broke below our previous day. As long as we stay underneath here, okay, right here, as long as we stay underneath here, we will continue to get down into here tonight, guys, okay? And 30,100 is going to be a huge support zone, okay? This is always a huge support zone. So just know, like, if we can't hold this level, we'll probably flush another 1,000 points eventually if we can't hold this level. That's how important this level is right here, okay? So nevertheless, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna send y'all guys this video. I hope it helps, and if you do have any questions, get with me on one, and I'll make more videos like this, and hopefully pretty soon I can start to trade live. I can start to trade live with you guys, okay, on YouTube here eventually soon. Okay, I just need to get a few more things situated with people out of my house and more, powerful Wi-Fi and no glitching involved here when I trade, because that tends to happen when I'm trading live on YouTube. I'll start to get glitches or whatever, and it's not good for me. Okay. But anyways, nevertheless, hopefully I can get that squared away here soon, and then we can live on YouTube every day like this, live in action. So price is definitely looking like we want to get a little bouncy here. Well, never, it was looking like it. We're just flushing, guys. This is just a flush. Tonight is one of those nights where you can just hold your sell. I'm going to see if I can get a sell on the 50 actually. And see if I can get down into this zone here for tonight. So you could do something like this and just walk away and just see if these things hit. If they don't, how much am I losing here? Let's do the math. This is 91, this is 31, so that's what's that, 40 points right there up into your 56s. So let's say 56, let's say 60 points times 0.5, that's $30 on one contract plus another. So basically here I'm risking 31 to 56. 31 to 56, that's 26 times 0.8, 13 plus 30. So let's just say I'm risking like $50. It says $43. It's not exact. I'm risking like $50 on this trade to make, let's see here, if I were to do this one, let's say 200. So that's it, 390. So 290 or 200, 290, 390. So that's 200 points. So 200 times 0.5 is $100. So basically it would be like a 1-to-1 R if I just got one contract filled. If I got two contracts filled, it would be a two. This would be more points, so it would be like a 2.5 hour trade. Okay, because I would probably end up making about 225, 250 on that trade, risking $50. Actually, shoot, that'd be like a 1 to 4 trade if both contracts hit. So ultimately risking about 50, maybe $60 worst case if my fills are bad. Okay, 50, $60 to make 200, 250. That's not bad. That's a good trade. Okay, so maybe I just leave that there and see if I wake up in the morning, $200 more on my funded account. Okay. Um, but anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. It's 10:26 p.m. I hope this video helped someone, and I hope I wasn't mumbling as much. All right, have a good night. Bye.